Hi, my name's Kevin Slifka. I'm from Pleasant Hill, Iowa, and this is my story. I donated a kidney to my one-year-old nephew back in December of 2013. When they discovered that he would need a kidney, he got transferred to University of Iowa hospitals in Iowa City, Iowa. And from there, I think that's when the search for a donor began. Doctors told him at first, at birth, he wouldn't walk, he wouldn't crawl, he wouldn't feed himself, he wouldn't go to public school. He was not only doing all that, but he actually ran a 25-meter dash into his parents' arms. CBS picked it up on it. It was broadcast all over the country. It was the coolest thing. Just to show that, you know, what transplantation can do. Again, that's my story, and I believe everybody should look into it or consider it. It's an experience that I think I'll never forget. It was definitely impactful to me and probably one of the coolest things I've ever done.
My name is Mark Coronel. I received a kidney transplant December 10, 2019 from my sister's friend, but also utilized social media to get 33 people to come forward to try donating a kidney. I got diagnosed when I was actually on a routine physical, and the doctor said, you know, I was a bit cocky because I was really healthy, training every day, running, boxing a little bit. I was a former amateur boxer, and then 2 days later, she did give me a call. I ended up with a biopsy, and that's when I found out I had FSGS, focal segmental glomerular sclerosis, which means scarring in the kidneys. And then I ended up on dialysis for almost a year and a half. Within that year and a half, I was searching for a kidney through social media, whether it was Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the news. I ended up getting a kidney. From then, I got a kidney transplant at UCLA, and now I represent the UCLA Core Kidney Health Program. And what we do is we emphasize and share hope, sharing stories, and essentially just being here and really being that advocate to give hope to those who need it. That's my message, and that's what comes across as strong as possible. This is dedicated to my donor. Thank you so much for giving me a second chance at life. Life is amazing, and I really mean that genuinely. There's no complaints. You have me here competing, which is something that I've always wanted to do, and I'm here.
Hello, I'm Gerald Wayman. I'm from Utah. I've actually had 3 kidney transplants. I went into kidney failure in 2006, and my little brother offered to give me one of his kidneys, and we had that transplant in 2007. Unfortunately, the disease I have came back and put me into kidney failure again, and shortly after I went into kidney failure the second time, I had a cousin who passed away with a brain aneurysm, and his family wanted me to have one of his kidneys as well, so I had the opportunity to get a healthy kidney again. But again, the disease came back a third time, and I went into kidney failure again, and the third time the doctor said, we're going to be real picky about who your donor is this time, because third time's it, you don't get a fourth time. And it went on for about 22 months that I was on dialysis trying to find a donor. And we finally did. My daughter actually convinced the doctors that she should be able to be a donor, and they consented, and she was able to give me a third kidney transplant. It just reminds me of everybody that's been through a transplant has had a miracle take place in their life. And those miracles go far beyond just that one experience. They continue on to bless lots of other people too.
My name's Leslie Becker. I am from Carlisle, Iowa. I am part of Team Iowa, and my story began when I was 8 years old. I found out I was type 1 diabetic. Type 1 diabetes can lead to kidney failure, and that's exactly what happened to me. So when I was 32, I found out my kidneys were failing. So they decided to put me on dialysis because I wasn't feeling good. So October 4th, 2004, we received the call. And since I was type 1 diabetic, I qualified for a pancreas and a kidney. I received that transplant, and the kidney's still working great, labs are normal, and so that's where I am at today. Everything's well, doing well. I met my donor, and they're an amazing family. He was a young boy who was killed instantly. He donated his organs to several recipients, lots of tissue throughout the U.S. It ended up yesterday that I met one of his other recipients here at the Transplant Games. It was a bittersweet moment because how often while you're here meeting a recipient and yourself sharing the same donor. And so because of my transplants and everything and my donor family that I met, they're the ones that got me interested in joining Team Iowa and attending the Transplant Games of America. So that's kind of my story.
Hi, my name is Andrea.
I'm Brandon. We're from Chicago, Illinois.
Back in 2019, my son passed away at the age of 10 due to gun violence. The Gift of Hope has been really awesome with their support and love for, just helping us out with honoring him in every way possible.
One of the things that EJ did was he donated his heart to a young boy who was 13 at the time in Arkansas. So 3 years later, that young man is 16, and that heart is still beating and pumping and thriving. And we couldn't be more proud that something that happened in tragedy was able to provide a life for somebody else.
We do usually know the age and the sex of the person, but we don't know exactly their names. I did write a letter. As soon as I sent off the letter, the family reached out to me on social media on Resurrection Easter Day. It was beautiful, and they were just expressing to me how thankful they were for my son's heart and all his donations and love, and it was really cool.
And now we're looking at possibly going down to Arkansas to meet this young man in person and just hear his story and share our stories and memories with each other.
Andy, when I see you, I am going to grab you. Don't be nervous. I'm just going to put my head on your heart and listen, and I probably won't let you go. So just be ready. Just be ready, Andy.
My son passed away almost 8 years ago. He was a great kid, and he would have been 22 years old. He was coming home from a bonfire and had an accident with his motorcycle. His best friend from school that he grew up with saw an explosion from the motorcycle. The gas tank, I guess, blew up. They took him to one hospital. We met the doctors there, and the doctors told us that he had a traumatic brain injury. And then a couple months later, we found out that he had saved 6 people's lives with his organs. He was able to give sight to one person in Ohio. He has 7 skin recipients, 6 tendon recipients, and 149 bone recipients. And they live in 22 states and in 2 countries. And I wouldn't have known any of this if it wasn't for the Gift of Hope that keeps track of all that. So now I volunteer for the Gift of Hope. I'm on the advisory board for Eversight, which is the cornea donation organization of Illinois. And I speak to classrooms too through Donate Life to try and promote organ donation and the importance and how important organ tissue eye donation is. And that's the blessing of organ donation and how important it is.